All right, people, we have just I have probably made the decision to not solo review Madam Web because dedicating an hour to that movie just sounded ridiculous in hindsight. So instead, what I decided to do is bring on my panel of comic book experts in order to talk about the many updates that Marvel Comics has assembled recently, while also give you guys, the people who have seen Madam Web, ample time to shit on the movie. I'm joined by returning people, Mac of Mac Movie Reviews, as I make sure that I'm pointed the right way. Agnolo of Agnolo Movie Blogs, Dantre, aka Tarantino, and newcomer to the channel, my fellow Meisner trained actor, Karn Khanna. Karn, happy to have you on here. Happy to have all of you guys here. This is going to be a fun one, guys. So let me stop talking and get to the intro so we can start talking about this, because we got a lot of stuff to cover. All of that and more on tonight's episode of the Talkin TV podcast. All right, guys, what is going on? Like I said, we are going live on Monday night. It is President's Day weekend, which is really weird because schools give off for that, and then almost no other company does. It really, except for your school, Dantre, I was going to say, because your school did not give off for President's Day, which is really weird how that works. But like I said, so originally this episode was to be reserved for the reviewing of Madam Web, or I feel like the more appropriate term would be the review bombing of Madam Web. But the unfortunate thing is just, I mean, come on, let's all face it. None of the recent Sony solo Spider-Man movies have been good. The Venom movies have not been good. Morbius, I mean, the less said about that, the better. So instead, I decided we're going to take the first couple of minutes of this episode just to collectively give our thoughts, as I will say, on the movie for the people here who have seen it. Dantre, Mac, Agnolo, if you've gotten a chance to see it as well. And then we're going to be breaking down a lot of the more recent updates that have dropped about Marvel. Just a few of the biggest one probably being the finally confirmation of the Fantastic Four cast, as well as a couple of other casting notices, a couple of other announcements as well, a couple of other dates, reshoots and such like that are happening all across the movie and TV board. But Mac, I wanted to start with you as one of the first people on this panel who actually saw Madam Web. Just give us the overall, just you know what to do here.
And I can't even make a joke to saying it's like the movie of our time, like we do in Morbius. Like, I feel like this is like the anti-movie of our time, because this is just such a disaster where you can't even joke about it. You just kind of be like, wow, that happened. Like, at least with Morbius, it was fun. And like Jared Leto, you could just make fun of him for being weird in his acting decisions. But like with this one, it's just like, who is like, man, we really got to have Madam Web, and we got to mention that we're in the same universe as Spider-Man, but let's not have any of our Spider people in here. Instead, we got Spider-Man at home. We have the great Ezekiel Sims going, I have to murder these girls or they're going to kill me in the future. Like, oh my gosh, you don't even care about them. Like, Madam Web is just like, the ending was probably the funniest because it's like, oh, that's cute. They think they're going to do a sequel. That shit ain't happening. Madam Web is just a disaster. That's what say, just a disaster.
that I could have asked for a better start off to the episode. Dantre, so you said you had maybe a sort of a different take on Madam Web. I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on that.
Not like a different take. The movie was god awful. Like the movie was god awful, 100%. But it's just like I can see where they were trying to go with that. Like, I see they're trying to bring in Madam Web because, like, definitely that character plays a huge part in anywhere you're trying to go with Spider-Man stuff, because you're going to need a Madam Web to pop up eventually. But I just think this was just a huge cash grab for just Sydney Sweeney to, like, either boost her career, or this might have just actually, like, shitted on her career.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but like the movies that she's got coming out this year,
just drop Euphoria season 4. Just drop it.
Season 3. They haven't even dropped season 3 yet. And how are they going to do it? Half the cast is like walked or, dead, unfortunately. Like the cast members of that show are dropping like flies.
Yeah, but like overall, like I think just the movie could have just been so much better, or just better than what we got. 100%, like god awful. I don't know why that could have just went straight to like streaming services, or that could have been like an animated movie, or it could have been
not have been made.
Or TV show, or it could have been like one of those Disney Plus like little quick TV shows, like to fill in the spot, like fill in a blank or something like that. It really didn't need to be a movie. It really did it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I've been seeing is how there's now multiple online petitions going on to try and get Sony to just relinquish the rights to Spider-Man, which is
because they're losing money. They're literally losing money doing this.
The only movies that have like been profitable for them recently are the animated Spider-Man movies, which the problem is because of how low the budgets are on that. Like, yeah, they do well, but they can never clear close to $1 billion, those animated movies. So they need to rely on the live action with the gigantic budgets, and they completely flop. And especially since Madam Web will not be the only one of these Sony movies that we get this year. We'll be getting Kraven the Hunter and Venom 3 later on this year.
The Power of 3, actually.
We will see if any of those movies actually keep their release dates, is what I will say. I'm confident Kraven will. I'm not sure that Venom will. Adolo, since you've got the Madam Web backdrop there, have you got a chance to see this movie, or was that just the theme of the episode tonight?
No, I went to see it. I did a review, and like I gave it a really, for the first time in our count, I was wondering if I should give 0 stars to a movie.
Wow.
That's how much.
And you're usually like the go-to when it comes to looking for every part that you can.
But I think we are seeing this the wrong way. I think this is the most important superhero movie that came out in a long time. Because, look, this will finally show Sony that they can't do any money with Spider-Man without the Marvel. And that's the thing. I think this is a really important movie because they did Venom. The movie wasn't great, but it did a lot of money. We all kind of forget that. It made a lot of money, the first one. The second one came out, and it was the excuse of the pandemic. And they were like, oh, it's the pandemic. So if this movie was a success, they would keep doing these stupid movies like Kraven that the trailer looks even worse than this, to be honest. And I think it's this will finally just put them to a stop. And now there's been a lot of rumors that they wanted to kind of speed Spider-Man 4, and they were kind of pushing Marvel to make it faster. And I think now it's going to give the power to Marvel to say, look, you better just calm down because you can't do anything without us. And I think that this movie is really important for us to kind of get Spider-Man in the way it should be. They're doing a great job in animation, so they probably could continue to do that. But the problem here is look, even Morbius, they kind of thought that they could make some money out of it. Probably now, at the time, they didn't thought they made a lot of money, but compared with this movie, it's going to be a shitload of money compared to it. So the movie was horrible. And I think Sydney Sweeney, she's going to be fine because anyone but you is making a shitload of money. So she'll still get, but no one could save this movie. It doesn't matter who he was. You could get the best cast in the world. But it was just the script, and this is something I don't understand. You go and get the same guy that wrote Morbius. You go and get the same guy that wrote Gods of Egypt. You go and then you expect the movie to be good. That's what's most confusing about me is you look at that track records and you say, oh, this is the guy. No, I don't get it. But yeah, it was horrible.
Bringing up Gods of Egypt on Black History Month.
I was about to say that's a tough spot for you. I know that.
What's even funnier too with the writers is this isn't even the first cinematic universe that they kind of fucked up. They were doing Dracula Untold, which is supposed to be
another one. Now it's supposed all the boxes for you.
That was supposed to be the start of the Universal's Dark Universe, and that movie wasn't good. And then
apparently has been scarred by both of those movies.
I don't know, I don't know, apparently I read that in 2019 Sony read the script of Morbius, man, this is some good shit. We want you guys for Madam Web, let's do this. And apparently they said, yeah, that'll do, and it's it's a psychological thriller, and I don't know what happened.
A psychological thriller with no superhero action that happens outside of flashbacks, and the rest of it is just them running from this Ezekiel.
They don't even have the line in the trailer he was in the jungle that killed my mom. That's not even in the movie.
Of course it is. That seemed like a line that was recorded 80 yards just in the trailer.
Yeah, but the thing is, the thing is, if you read what went behind the movie, there's 5 directors attached to it.
Of course, as there are
one director 3 like people like assistant directors, and then there's like an additional director. So there's 5 directors to this movie. So
That's bad.
what can you
Sounds
expect?
like a typical superhero production to me, but
Oh, come
There's-
on.
yeah. So Karn, yeah. So you had a pretty impressive alternate pitch that already sounded way better than anything that we got in this movie. So
Yeah. So me and Dom kind of workshopped this idea. First of all, why was the movie not about Spider-Woman? Keep the same budget. Do you know how much more money that would have made by having a movie about Spider-Woman? You're only focusing on Sydney Sweeney, so you only have to pay her salary. Have the villain be Mr. Negative. The whole movie should take place in 24 hours where she's on the hunt for her daughter, right? Get the director for the first Deadpool, Tim Miller, super contained movie, and have Sam Raimi maybe directed as well. Like, that's what I just didn't understand. I'm like, you have one of your A players is just being on the sidelines, and it just doesn't make any sense. Like, this is a significant Spider-Woman is not the main character, but Madam Web is. Like, that's what I just don't understand.
I think
Yeah,
there's a
because you're not
Spider-Woman
seeing
project
it. You're not
coming
seeing
too.
it. The Sony head is we're gonna set 4 movies with this. We're gonna have Spider-Web, Spider-Woman. Like that is their way of thinking. Let's see how many movies we can kick out of this. And this was the idea. I bet they wanted to do a movie for each of the girls, a movie for that, because they can. This is what we forget. They only have the rights to Spider-Man, and it's one hero, and they have to make up this shit where we get Craven and we get Morbius and stuff because they don't have anyone else to make movies about, and that's like their idea is to try and make as many like these stupid stories, and they're not thinking in the big picture. And I completely agree with you. I think that if they had the patience and they build up on it, they would probably do something good. But they don't have the patience, and they show that. And this is the rumors that they now want to speed up the next Spider-Man because they need to make some money because it's the only fucking thing that they have to make money. So
well, it actually kind of dovetails and ties in nicely with the first of, like I said, the recent Marvel updates. Because, like I said, Marvel Studios has been releasing a ton of updates about their upcoming slate of movies, which is that obviously that there's been a lot revealed about Spider-Man 4, that a lot of the behind-the-scenes conflicts of it, similar to what happened when they were making Far From Home, when basically Tom Holland was basically having to act as an emissary between Disney and Marvel when between Disney and Sony when Sony almost backed out of the deal. Is that Sony wants this next Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man 4, which will kind of be the setup to their next Tom Holland trilogy, to be more of a multiversal calamity, which will involve a Kang variant as well, while Marvel Studios and Disney wants to keep it more of a street-level centered thing that would more than likely see Spider-Man and Daredevil team up in order to take out Kingpin, which would then also still lead into Kang Dynasty, as well as the fact that now this was a little bit more kind of, I would say, up in the air as far as that goes. But as of right now, the plan is still to do Kang Dynasty, and the plan is to recast. But I also heard a separate news story that Secret Wars, they were planning on splitting into 2 movies as well, not just one. So now I'm not sure if Secret Wars Part 1 and 2 is supposed to replace Kang Dynasty, or if it's going to be Kang Dynasty and then Secret Wars Part 1 and 2. I'm not sure about that. So, but with that being said, and that's also not included the complete creative overhaul of Daredevil that we have seen recently as well, which also brings back Frank Castle, the Punisher, brings back Karen and Foggy, who previously were not in this new iteration, as well as introducing the characters of White Tiger, who they've already revealed. And, of course, Karn, how can I forget your guy, Bullseye, as well, from Season 3. Pretty much actually making the Netflix shows canon as well. There was also the rumors that several other characters.
Fan I've seen in years.
Yeah,
I know. I'm obsessed with
this guy. Yeah, this guy is obsessed with Bullseye, indeed. So, with all that being said, just about that stuff before we get into Fantastic Four, what are your guys' thoughts on it, Karn? I know you've been really eager to talk about it, so we'll start with you.
Daredevil or Fantastic Four?
Daredevil and Spider-Man.
All right, so look, I mean, everything I'm seeing is great. I don't know how to feel about, look, you have Season 3 setting up Bullseye as the main villain, right? Season 4 was going to be about Bullseye reusing the costume that he was given, spray painting it, suiting up. The whole, and Charlie Cox even confirmed it. He was like, I was really excited to see Wilson Bethel suit up. Based on those photos, I really hope that's a starter costume, because that is from one issue of a Bullseye comic. That is not Bullseye. There's no, this is what I hated about the Netflix series. I do love them, but I hate that they're so against logos. Like, let's just give them the logos. There was like this Photoshop image of Daredevil in his new suit, and they put the double D symbol, and it looks great. So I'm like, just do some, like, look, we get that you're trying to connect it to the Netflix series, but that costume, no one was thrilled to see. We've already seen him in the Netflix suit. Let's talk about the evolution, right? Let's make it a little bit closer, because it's like, you're just giving him the Shang-Chi suit and just spray painting it red. You know, it's like, I just wish that maybe the cowl was different. I don't know. And I wish that Bullseye gets a proper suit, because that does not look like Bullseye. I don't know if it looks like one of the members of the Hand.
So you're saying you didn't like the ketchup and mustard suit from She-Hulk?
Bro, they're pretending like that shit never happened. Like, I'm pretty sure they're retconning She-Hulk out of existence. Like, Tatiana Maslany straight up quit.
That's the spicy brown mustard.
I was like, bro, they made our man's walk the hall of barefoot, the walk of shame with the full-on costume on in broad daylight. I'm like,
that tree.
That just violated so many rules. Like, so many rules right there.
I know, and I'm like, how does he afford all those suits? It's Matt Murdock. Like, you have the yellow suit.
You've got the fucking
suit. That's the second suit, right? And then
didn't they say that his dad left him a lot of money when he died? Wasn't that the thing that was established in the show?
No, because he was a fighter, right?
Yeah.
But he had money left aside to like make sure that Matt was taken care of.
Oh, law school and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, he's a really good lawyer, so he can afford all that. All right.
Yeah. And I guess he did
a lot of pro bono work.
He took the Foggy case.
Yeah.
All right, but still, you know, it's like,
yeah.
Was the yellow suit ever explained, by the way?
Just that it was made by the same guy who made She-Hulk's costume. That's really that was basically the explanation.
And I was asking, I remember me and Dom were talking about this a lot. We're like, what happened to, because Bullseye has the suit at the end of season 3. Where is it? Where the fuck is it?
Yeah, but this is the thing. We still don't saw the show, so we don't know what's going to happen. I don't think that's going to be the suit. I think, it's going to be a starter up, and then they'll have more of a comic book suit by the end, or he's going to change the one he has. But this is the thing. Again, like, this is the internet. We see one photo from the thing, and we all already where's the fucking suit? Where's the suit? Like, it's one photo. Like, the guy could have been have laundering day, and the other suit is not
where's the stars and stripes?
Yeah, exactly. And I'll say this, as far as photos on the internet go, normally I don't pay them too much credence, but I do get slightly tight when photos are already spoiling shit that's gonna happen in the show, where they're making a big deal that White Tiger is being introduced in Born Again, right? They shrunk like I said, when they did the creative overhaul at the end of last year, after the strikes were finally resolved, they rebooted it. They shrunk the episode count to, I believe, 9 is what it's going to be now, right? They brought back Karen and Foggy, and that the Punisher is going to have a pretty big part. But they show a still of the Punisher capping White Tiger at the end of the season,
by the way,
right, with the Punisher. So I'm like, why are you spoiling your own show and behind the scenes stills? Like, already?
I mean, I love the Punisher. Like, I know that's controversial take with his logo and everything. But first of all, it don't fucking matter. Punisher's fucking awesome. I think that's my favorite Netflix show next to Luke Cage. But I've always been scared of how they will bring in the Punisher to the Disney MCU, because Disney has very interesting ways of being like, we're just gonna tone this down a little bit. So it's like bringing that and to be like, don't worry, Daredevil's gonna be kind of like the Netflix show, but not really. And I don't know. I mean, we're getting Deadpool 3, so I feel like that's more Ryan Reynolds, because they changed anything, he probably would have quit.
Right. Well, from what I heard is that they were active. There was a lot of active back and forth between Ryan Reynolds and Disney over Deadpool 3. A lot of combating.
He fired the writers from what's it called? Remember? He
brought back the writers from the first two.
And there's a writer for She-Hulk too.
Yeah, there were these 2 writers. They worked on something, and then Ryan Reynolds fired them, brought back the original writers.
Yeah.
But I don't know this Daredevil show. I'm not really excited for it, because I'm gonna just say this when I tell people I'm 24. When I was 15, 16, 17, 18, when the Netflix shows were at the peak, and I always told people that was when Marvel was at its peak with the streaming shit, because On Netflix, it was like our own little world. It's still connected to the MCU, but it was like we were down on the trenches and everything like that. So like it made those shows like this little intimate show be like, hey, let me get into another world. And like I like the shows, and like to have them come into the mainline MCU, you're not really have that aesthetic with that. And then with the whole Sony Spider-Man thing, at what point, if you're Kevin Feige or Disney, where you just to be like, go to Sony, like, listen, shut the fuck up. We have the power. We have more money. We could buy you if we wanted to. So you're gonna have Spider-Man 4, unless you want us to take you out back and everything. Because like, at what point you're like, listen, like, we can just buy you. Like, you can keep doing the Fox method. It'll just keep releasing movies. You can keep the rights, or we can just buy you. So what do you want to do?
I just want to think about the implications of Disney owning Sony, which gives them obviously PS4,
everything.
Which it's the implications of that.
Oh yeah,
the implications of that. Like Paramount's already looking to merge with Universal. Fucking Disney's got Fox, potentially Sony. You got Warner off on their own. It's literally the formation of the fucking. It's Demolition Man. It's the super companies. It's
Dom, you were
if they're buying Sony, they're not buying PlayStation. They're buying Sony Studios. That was the offer that they did before.
Okay.
So they're only buying Sony Studios.
I'd rather
they wouldn't have they wouldn't spend that much money to buy the old fucking Sony.
What's funny too also is that outside of the Spider-Man, there's a lot of Sony properties that I feel like would almost do better under Disney, but there's also a lot of properties that probably would not also. Like I don't know, in a weird way, it's like, could Disney resurrect Men in Black? Like, could they do that well? Would they actually be able to make Ghostbusters good? But
22 Jump Street, Men in Black.
Yeah. Well, they already tried that. Ironically, they already tried that, and
that's a crazy collab. I would like to see that.
No, they were going to do that. That was going to.
No, they were.
It was going to be a Jump Street Men in Black collaboration, and it never happened because Jonah Hill was not on board, from what I heard.
I think with Men in Black International, that actually has some remnants of what was going to be the crossover, because Chris Hemsworth was tied to that crossover. Because I remember that came out during the Sony hacks, and like, those Sony hacks, like, looking back at them now, it's kind of scary how accurate, like.
Yeah, they predicted damn near everything that came out for Sony for the next 5 years after that.
How is it that Sony can have like a great like Miles Morales movies and we're praising them, but then like a year before they release like the Emoji movie? Like what? Like this is like the most like. This is like levels of DC, how they can start off great and then just like end off shit.
In the case of the animated Spider-Man movies, though, we have to take into consideration the creators. Like, that's not Sony. That's Phil Lord and Chris Miller. And everything that those guys touch to basically turns to gold. So, like, those guys have, like, the fact that they basically have not missed for, like, 15 years straight since, like, Clyde with the Chance of Meatballs is kind of insane. If you even want to go further back, like the original Clone High that they worked on pre-Clyde with the Chance, like, they really haven't missed those two. So
they're forgetting Solo.
You mean the movie
still counts?
You mean the movie that they left, and that basically I still do not believe for a second that they used any of the footage that they shot?
Well, but they still got involved. They were involved
barely, and then probably left it. But guys, so that's kind of what we're looking at there. The other big thing that I wanted to bring up as well with you, Dantre. So Kang, right? Like, man, Marvel really does not seem to know what to do with him. Like, Major's like, first of all, I love how they were under the pretense of like, oh, we're gonna wait until the court case is over with before we announce, before we announce that he's fired. I'm like, they knew what they were doing the minute that shit was announced. I'm like, oh, they kept pushing back the court case. I'm like, none of this is gonna make a difference. They're just waiting to fire him, you know. And so like, well, what are they gonna do? I heard a rumor that they were considering John David Washington from Tenet. Which great action star. Other than Black Klansman, I still don't know how convinced I am of him. Like, it just being in terms of like being able to match Jonathan Majors in terms of like pure, I would say pure charisma. But like Dantre, who are we thinking? What are they doing with Kang, if anything?
No, I think, and it's unfortunate to what happened to Jonathan Majors. It really is. But I think the problem was, and this case, they used the case to cover it up. I think they realized after Ant-Man 3 that the Kang thing was fucked. And with everything happened, it was like, we got a scapegoat.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think even for where we are in the current MCU standard, removing comic book stuff, we just killed Thanos. There's no way you're touching Kang right now. I really think they should have just did Doom to set a lot of things up.
Right.
And then
I mean, they were already clearly going to build to Doom since the end goal was Secret Wars, right? So that was already confusing enough. I'm like, what was it going to be? Kang behind Secret Wars 2? But also now the fact that they're kind of doing what they were already basically hinting that they were going to do, which they're introducing Doom in Fantastic Four. Like, he's not going to be the main villain, but he's going to be introduced in that. And like, they had Kang variants set up for all these movies. Like, they had one that was going to be in Spider-Man 4, that was going to be in Fantastic Four, that was going to be in I'm forgetting in Shang-Chi 2. Whenever that, I believe Doctor Strange 3 as well. There was a rumor that he was going to be in that there was going to be one in that too. It's like they really screwed the pooch, because I mean, Dr. You and I were talking about this earlier, like last year with Ant-Man and Loki, how they literally set it up as to where not only was he going to be the guy that was everywhere, and basically, essentially, they were trying to set him up as like the new Downey Jr. in terms of like being everything that the MCU revolved around going forward, but also the fact that they didn't really do a good job of showing like what his plan was or how he was going to be a good villain, considering that the last time we saw him, he got defeated by fucking ants and then turned into string cheese in Loki season 2. What is it with Marvel and turning these guys into string cheese? I don't get it.
See, I still don't think the plan is to do Kang as the main villain, because my fan theory still is that it's Doom and then it's going to be Galactus.
Well, Galactus, they said, is already going to be the villain in Fantastic Four, so I wouldn't be surprised if Galactus ends up being a one-off that sets up for Doom being the big.
I still think Galactus should have been. He's the only one that's like matches the power of what Thanos had to be like that extinction level event.
Well,
if you're going to do.
The thing about Secret Wars, right, and I'm glad that you brought this up, right, is because they're more than likely doing the 2015 run of Secret Wars, which is the one that involves Molecule Man and the Beyonders, which is where they have Doom and Strange, right, use Molecule Man in order to reformat the universe in order to save it, but also so Doom can take control of it and like literally remake all the universe into Battle World. And the whole thing that they said is that, and Karn can also back me up on this, because the leaks that we were talking about last year, the fact that the main characters are going to be, it's Toby Spider-Man, Wolverine, Deadpool, they're all going to be like main players along with some of the current MCU main characters, Anthony Mackie being one, Letitia Wright being another one, Spider-Man is going to be a main one. They're still trying to figure out if and how they can bring back any of the Guardians of the Galaxy, if any. They still have yet to introduce Nova and Wonder Man, who I know they're working on as well. So you've got all of this to consider building into Secret Wars, and that also kind of ties it with a casting announcement that was just recently announced, which is that Henry Cavill was announced to have made an offer to Marvel.
Britain.
Right. Well, a lot of people were theorizing. They're like, oh, is he going to be Dr. Doom? Is he going to be some of the other guys? He's not going to be Doom for sure. Like, I can tell you right now. I mean, it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to say the least. But honestly, I think Karn's got it. I think it's going to be Captain Britain.
Because it's going to be Captain Britain for sure. Like, since the day one, is like one of his favorite comic books. And he's like, they already wanted to do Doctor Strange 3. He was also speeding it up. So I think he's going to be part of that, because it's more the magical thing. So it's not going to be Doctor Doom. There's no way that he's going to be.
That's Giancarlo's role to take for Doctor Doom, I think.
Oh, you think it could be Giancarlo?
They probably, because Giancarlo, like, who do you want to, like, why they want to get a voice actor? They should get a voice actor, but I feel like with anyone, like watching The Boys or even Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul, like, Giancarlo just has that presence of like, oh, I want to hear what he has to say, because when I think of Doom, I think of someone who's like very, just he has the presence, even with his voice, and just I think with Giancarlo, I think that could work for them.
There's an actor that I wish they would have used, but they used him for Doctor Strange.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Yes.
Yeah.
He would have been.
Mikkelsen was one.
Well,
he would have been a great Doom.
Well, I'll tell you who also is was my ideal casting, when they fucked up by giving him the thankless role in Captain Marvel before they unceremoniously killed him off in Secret Invasion. Ben Mendelsohn.
Oh, Ben
Mendelsohn. Yeah. No, he would have kicked. And he's actively talked about like how awesome of a character Doom is and how much he wants to play him. So like they did him fucking dirty there.
What's funny with Mads Mikkelsen is that I read is that he actually auditioned for, I think it was Reed Richards for Fantastic Four, and he said he hated the audition. So I think it was just
really.
Yeah,
he's not the only one. A lot of people did not like the auditioning process. You know, like they were convinced it's going to be Gyllenhaal. They're like, oh, it's going to be Adam Driver. Like so many people. True. And then they finally went with Pascal, who, like I said, is just apparently the go-to guy. Which I guess that leads us into it, guys. We finally have a cast. It only took them fucking 8 months, 9 months longer than when they said they were originally going to drop it, but we finally have a cast. We have a cast for Fantastic Four.
I gotta say one thing before I leave. I just gotta very quickly get into it. This will be my last thing. It feels like if you went on AI or ChatGPT and you typed in Fantastic Four cast, it seems like I don't think anyone was thrilled to see it. I think these are all great actors, but I think the synergy, I don't know if that's 100% there. Except
It's not there.
And I think that I think we would have all been. I know you, Dom, was saying that you would have been more excited about Gyllenhaal. I as well.
Yeah, Gyllenhaal just would have been a more interesting choice. And I told you they cast the wrong Joe from Stranger Things. It should have been Joe Keery as Human Torch. Steve Harrington,
Baker
not fucking
Montgomery.
Eddie.
Yeah, one of those things.
Baker Montgomery as well would have been good.
Yeah,
But anyway, it was
Gyllenhaal will still be back as Mysterio, so they couldn't cast him.
Yeah,
so.
but that was still a one-off thing. That's the thing. And they already said that this version of the Fantastic Four is not going to be in the universe. So, Karin, I know you got to get out of here. Thank you for making it on, and I'll have you back on at some point soon for sure. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Of course. All right.
No, you know what's funny with Fantastic Four is that I think it was on here the last time we talked about it, how they were like, it's going to take place in the 60s. And I'm like,
right.
How's this going to work? Are they going to bring them from the 60s to the current day and be like, Reed, you can't say that word, man. It's the 2020s.
Well,
like,
I believe, probably, yeah, because that's the type of humor that they do. But also, more than likely, that's how, if the original plan for the script, because I know that they're doing reshoots as well, if the original plan for the script was for that to be for a Kang variant to be involved, then more than likely that's how time travel will be involved, because the whole thing that they said is that it's going to be a spacefaring time traveling odyssey where they would travel outside the dimension. So whether the plan was to have it simply be a prequel to the MCU, right, taking place in between, say, the first Captain America and when we know a majority of the events prior to the mainstream MCU happened in like the 70s and 80s with, everything that happens with Captain Carter, then later Captain Marvel with the 90s and everything, young Hank Pym and such. Or if it's supposed to be there in a completely separate universe, who then through meandering of Kang and or Galactus and whoever they end up fighting end up in the main Marvel universe. I don't know what the plan is right now. The only thing we know is the 60s aesthetic and the cast announcements.
The first,
but that's why. Sorry, but that's why I think the plan was all along Doctor Doom being the big bad guy in Secret Wars, but they needed Kang in the middle to bring those guys in. I think this was always the plan. They made out Kang as being like the big bad guy because they wanted to take attention from what was coming. But they need Kang to bring the X-Men. They bring Kang to bring all those people into the universe because they don't really have another way to bring them in. So I think Fantastic Four is going to be that. Is they're going to get them from another time, from whatever, and then going to come in. If we saw the Marvels, we already saw that in another universe, we have the X-Men. So, and that's why they can't drop Kang now, because they're going to need Kang to connect all the dots, because there's no other way to get all those people in the same place. So, like, Fantastic Four is that. It's probably going to be a one-off. And and in the end, when they defeat Galactus or something, they're going to be turned into coming into this universe or something like that. So it's gonna be all connected because of Kang, so they're not gonna drop it. And one of the things is who they're gonna cast. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the other big rumor. So, Dante, remember how I was torturing you last year that the rumor that was that Antonio Banderas was going to be voicing Galactus?
That's crazy.
That is.
No, they have a new Hispanic. They have a new Hispanic that they are considering now. One Javier Bardem, aka Stilgar from Dune, aka Shigur from No Country for Old Men. And I'm like, wow, the pinnacle of Javier Bardem's career, that he is going to be playing giant. And this time, we're not getting gas cloud Galactus. We're getting comic accurate giant purple suit Galactus.
Wait, I will defend Rise of Silver Surfer, and this is the only time you'll hear me say it.
The Dust Bunny from space?
No, shut up. No, okay. Let me defend it. I give them credit because that isn't like a cloud. He's supposed to be in the cloud because they were planning on revealing him in the next movie. And like, because the VFX, the artists, they're like, they had the hints of Galactus. And like, when you go back and watch it, you kind of see like the helmet shape. And that was the plan. Like, it's dumb, but I can understand where they're coming from. But I want Galactus. Like I said, I want Galactus in the MCU. And I don't know if you guys know this. Did you know that in Thor: Love and Thunder that there was a cut scene where Natalie Portman would have killed a Galactus variant when she was like, yeah, there's like a cut scene. Like this is
where, like when they go to like Olympus with all the other gods there.
there's like a how she went on adventures as with Mjolnir. She like was being killed. And like, you know, but if Javier Bardem is Galactus, man, I can't wait for him to be like go up to the Fantastic Four. It's like, what's the most you ever lost on a coin toss? He just freaking like uses Pluto as like a quarter, and just like, yeah, like that's
there's only one reason why I want Galactus. I don't care for Galactus. I care what happens to him and who comes out after Galactus. All I want is a Nihilist and the Annihilation Wave.
Right.
And Quasar. So like if the point of Fantastic Four,
don't we already have Quasar technically in Guardians 3? Wasn't she introduced? She was the little girl at the end of Guardians 3? By Lavelle?
Yeah. So the only reason why is because if they defeat Galactus, they can't really kill him. They just Reed finds out about the negative zone and just throws him in the negative zone. But Annihilus is in there and he starts to eat Galactus, and then the Annihilation Wave comes. But there's already too many things that's been fucked up already.
Yeah.
The destruction of Xandar, because we got that, but Thanos apparently just blew up Xandar, getting the Power Stone.
Right. Although I have heard that whole sequence of Thanos blowing up Xandar is rumored to play a part in the Nova show as well, because that's going to be like what motivates Nova. I'm
scared about Nova because the writer who wrote what's it called? I'm losing my mind here. They came on Netflix, on Disney Plus. Why can't I? Moon Knight. Moon Knight. He wrote Moon Knight, and I wasn't really a big fan of Moon Knight. And Nova is like my second favorite character compared to Iron Man. So it's like you ruin that character with already there's so much like bullshit going on, especially with the introduction of Xandar in the first Guardians movie. Like, there was like, where's Nova? And then Daenerys Day showing up in that movie. It was like, which is being John C. Reilly. And I'm just like, that's just dumb. But
yeah, and then that's just a one-off, and then that character gets killed off screen.
Right. So it's like there's already so many things of remnants of Nova. If you do it wrong, you're gonna tarnish a huge fan. And it's like I know like for the Nova show that's in development, the huge argument right now between the writer and like showrunner people is that are they doing kid Nova or are they doing adult Nova? But I was like, you don't get kid Nova if you don't have adult Nova because it's his helmet that the younger Nova gets. So it's like I'm very scared about Nova. So I try not to pay attention to it at all.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
And also the other bit of casting about Fantastic Four before we wrap up and go on to the next topic is not the semi-auto confirmation. So recently it was revealed that Anya Taylor-Joy was cast in the secret role of Princess what's her name? Of Alita, who is Paul Atreides' sister in Dune Part 2. There's a very kind of interesting backstory about that character is what I will say. And now it is being heavily rumored that she will be portraying a female variant of the Silver Surfer in this movie. So how do we feel about that one?
Is that just like woke Disney trying to be woke again?
I mean, Disney has kind of made that known.
The rumors I heard is that she's not going to play a female version of Silver Surfer. She's gonna play one of Galactus'
other heralds.
Yeah, the girl that's on fire that ends up falling in love with the Human Torch. So she's gonna be she's not gonna be a female Silver Surfer.
Okay.
What was her name? The one that was on fire that like it was. She falls in love. So I think that has logic because they can do that with.
That makes more sense.
And stuff.
That makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
So it's not because the rumors lately is that they are trying to cast because that's one of the chances they were saying Henry Cavill because like they trying to get someone to play the Silver Surfer. So I think we're gonna get both. It's not just gonna be
Henry Cavill, the Silver Surfer would be sick. That would be cool.
I think Silver Surfer is getting his own show too. If I've heard the rumor, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, he's gonna get his own show on.
Is that before or after?
Yeah, I don't know. It's not.
It's not slated. Gotcha.
Yeah, no.
But what they were saying is gonna be a one like they did with the werewolf.
Werewolf by Night.
It's gonna be one like special. Movie short, like special, whatever.
Okay. Got it.
I mean,
got it.
Like, who's like, I like the Silver Surfer 90s show, like the cartoon. So I do like the character Silver Surfer, and the only one we've had him was literally Lawrence Fishburne as
sick voice, by the way. Sick voice.
Good voice. So I think
you
can play that. Just have Keanu Reeves play Silver Surfer. Just screw it. Just get Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, I know they've been wanting Keanu Reeves, and I know they've been wanting Ryan Gosling desperately, but they're trying to figure out like the right role, and Gosling is just not entertaining anything from Marvel and Disney right now.
He will not. He'll do it.
Yeah, Gosling is a little bit like
Gosling. I think is going to be the Ghost Rider. I think that's
but my thought on that is like they already have the guy from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Why wouldn't they just use him? Because he didn't die in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., right?
Yeah, because it's not Ryan Gosling.
But
Ryan
it's
Gosling
not. Everyone wants Johnny Blaze first before you get.
Before you get what's his name?
Yeah.
Robbie
Remember
Reyes.
we almost had that with Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness because everyone was going to be in that movie, and then everything got cut out. So we almost had it. So I don't know. Maybe I did like that variant of Ghost Rider because it's like I tell people I'm like, you know, the one we're all familiar with is Nicolas Cage, Johnny Blaze. Like he's the most well-known Ghost Rider, but a lot of people who are younger, they know more about the Reyes.
Right.
Although
I will say just the fact of it's like I don't think again this just shows like how dumb they've been, but I don't think Sony, who I believe was the studio that put out those two Nicolas Cage led Ghost Rider movies, I don't think they understood like what they had with Nicolas Cage as Ghost Rider. And even though those movies weren't that good, just the idea of that casting, like I think that's kind of one of the more subtly underrated castings that like people didn't realize they had when they had.
The first one's good. The second one's all right.
Yeah,
the second one's bad.
The second one is I still can't make heads or tails of that movie. But real quick before we get off, so the Fantastic Four cast, right? Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, and Evan Moss-Backrack. Again, good actors. Not feeling the synergy between them at all. I feel like it's gonna be like people passing each other by in the night. Like I said, they got the wrong Joe from Stranger Things. Vanessa Kirby, again, solid, but like I need to see what kind of chemistry these guys are gonna have. Like Pedro Pascal and Evan Moss-Backrack, like I think there's like I don't know how much of an age difference there is between them, but that's like enough to where it's like I don't necessarily know if I buy them as being childhood friends, you know. So there's that whole thing. So yeah,
work their ass off for that one.
Yeah, they
This could either be a good chemistry of like the original like 2005 movie, or it could be like the anti-chemistry of the 2015 movies. Though this is
either way,
this is going to either way.
Especially because we know that Fantastic Four is kind of a cursed property. Also, like I said, weirdly that they only seem to be able to put out like a new Fantastic Four movie every 10 years because it was 2005, then 2015, and now this one's going to be released in 2025. It's going to be interesting to see if they can finally
nail this one. When was the last time? Come on, even when the movies are not good, when was the last time that Marvel did the bad casting?
True, this is true.
Brie Larson as Captain Marvel.
Well, I don't know about that, and even like
Marvel, Ben Affleck is Daredevil.
Yeah, but that's pre-MCU though. We're talking like
no. I'm saying MCU.
Oh, MCU.
Oh, MCU.
Yeah, just
I'm
MCU.
saying MCU. When was the last time? Like we always got this weird.
Oh, I got it. Finn Jones is Iron Fist.
Damn,
I didn't mind him as Iron Fist.
That was them. That was Netflix at the time. So the thing is, always come out with these weird people to cast, and we all like before we see the movies. We all always think, oh my God, what are they doing? And then when we see I think they took this long to cast them. I think they saw something. The only one I'm not sure is that it's Joseph Quinn. I think the other three will work well. Him, I don't know. The only thing I saw of him is Stranger Things, and like, right. I don't know.
And he's going to be in Quiet Place Day 1 this year as well.
And so Gladiator 2.
Yes, he'll be in that as well. So he'll have a couple chances to really prove himself.
I think they're probably Pascal instead of him, but
but Paul Pascal, I think was another guy that like he's not interested in doing any big budget like superhero parts.
I think they are just banking. They are banking on Joseph Quinn's like celebrity status from Stranger Things. This is a lot of his fans came from that, and they were hoping to probably get them into the theater because who I know people thought Zac Efron may have been Human Torch. I thought would have been awesome.
If it was like 5 years ago, but I think Efron's like he still looks young, but he's a little too old is the thing.
Yeah, but I'll give it the cast a shot. Like I said, Pedro Pascal, he is like the Thanos right now. He's got like DC, he's got Marvel, he's got Star Wars, Game of Thrones. Like he's everywhere, and Vanessa Kirby.
And DC, don't forget, villain in Wonder Woman 84.
Who can forget that?
And
but like, I don't know.
Video game franchise right now too.
And Last of Us as well. Yep.
So I don't know. I'm just excited. I do like Fantastic Four, but it is cursed because, for Christ's sakes, like, I'm gonna put it into perspective. The most comic book accurate Fantastic Four film
The
we've had
Incredibles.
is the '90s one by Roger Corman, which
Roger
I've
Corman
seen
one. Yep.
multiple times, and it's the most comic accurate one. And this one, I'm praying to God that it doesn't have the same like phrasing. But the 2000 movies weren't that bad, but the 2015
they
one,
really are in hindsight. Like I said, when that 2015 one was so bad,
it's horrible.
The 2000s would look good. Like, dude,
Yeah,
I rewatched that movie during
ones. Like they were pretty fun. I think we all forget.
They were fun. Yeah,
I really don't
like they were amazing.
I really don't hate those movies.
Those
I really
cast-
don't.
Come on,
Other than
like
the dude who they got as Mr. Fantastic, like the casting for those movies was pretty spot on.
He wasn't bad though.
No,
I didn't like him.
He's a good
I
Reed
did not
Richards.
like
I feel
He
they
was
should
a
have brought
good
him.
Reed Richards.
in the role.
They should have brought him back for the variant for Doctor Strange Multiverse Madness because
I agree with.
And
That
then
I
you
agree with.
should have
Because the
casted John Krasinski as fucking.
Yes, because the Krasinski thing was just confusing because it's this whole other variant that just gets killed off. It's like
that was
what?
just for fan service. I think Feige just said that was for fan service because
Everyone wanted to see him. Everyone wanted.
Yeah,
to
Everyone wanted to see Emily Blunt and John Krasinski. And you
That would've been
really did. You really could have did that, and you really fucked it up.
Yeah. All right.
fan
So
service.
yeah. So we're gonna be moving on real quick. So as of right now, the dates as they stand, we still have Brave New World. Like I said, we still the only MCU movie that's set to come out in 2024 is Deadpool 3. We have Brave New World still set to hit Black History Month a year from now, February of 2025. No, it was retitled to Brave New World.
New World Order.
NWO for life.
Fucking
NWO.
crazy. Fucking crazy.
If I don't see someone get DDT'd in there, I'm walking out.
apparently,
You got Seth Rollins in there. Come on now.
He's cut. No, he's cut.
They cut him.
They cut him. They like thanks. You got the world heavyweight champion in the new Marvel movie. His entire character's cut. Love it, Marvel. Love it. I'm a wrestling fan, so I've been
This
keeping up
movie
with this
is
too.
an absolute disaster to the point that they are reshooting entire sections of it. They are trying to make it more of a new Avengers setup movie, and yeah, it's
Wait,
like,
did it? Is Steven Yeun? He quit, right?
Well, so that's what we're getting to, right? Is
Okay.
that so?
Yeah,
We have a couple new announcements. So Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four will officially switch dates. Thunderbolts will now be opening the first weekend of May 2025, and Fantastic Four will now be opening in July of 2025. Blade is still tentatively set for November of 2025, but they are heavily expecting to shift that as they do more reshoots, and supposedly Mahershala Ali likes what the script is. So they are also expecting to push Fantastic Four from the summer to November, which has also been a pretty good spot for Marvel recently. But the biggest thing about Thunderbolts, right? You were right, Max. Steven Yeun is officially out as Sentry, and Louis Pullman, Bill Pullman's son from what's it called? What was he in? I believe he was from Bad Times the El Royale, Top Gun Maverick, and was just recently seen in this Tribeca movie that I saw called The Line. He will be replacing Steven Yeun as the Sentry for the Thunderbolts. Like I said, that movie will basically be revolving around a mission to. They're finally going to acknowledge the giant celestial head that's been sticking out of the Indian Ocean since Eternals, where because that will.
3 years and no one has ever mentioned.
Oh no! By the
that.
time this movie comes out, Mac. By the time this movie comes out, it'll have been 4 years. That
There's like a
that'll have
big
been
ass
acknowledged.
just doing.
Nobody's acknowledging.
this-
Nobody. The timeline is all fucked. The timeline is completely fucked because even within the realm of the MCU, you have like an entire fucking 2 years that have passed. Because right now the MCU is currently taking place in 2025, so the MCU is currently 2 years ahead of where we are in real time because of the Thanos snap. So it's 2026 right now in the MCU. So we have that to consider as well. The odds of Blade getting delayed indefinitely are not surprising. The other big thing also is that Mark Ruffalo cannot seem to figure out if he's in Brave New World New World Order or not. And so there's that. And also the confirmation that Harrison Ford, who replaced William Hurt, will become the Red Hulk, but that the Red Hulk will die at the end of the movie since he is confirmed to not be appearing in Thunderbolts as well. So,
Then
guys,
what's the point of having him, for Christ's sakes? Like, come on, Harrison Ford's just he's just like, I'm just doing this for. I'm done. Okay, yeah, all right, bye.
I mean, it makes sense.
I mean, he's too old too.
Yeah,
That's
he's
true,
too
yeah.
old.
And to be honest, it was probably him that said, "I will only be in this movie if you kill me in the end."
Yeah,
Probably.
He's
I'm
like,
pretty sure that's the thing. I'm pretty sure that's the contract he signs. Is that like I'm only coming in for this one movie? I don't care what you do
that's
after the fact, but I'm only coming in for this one. It was the same
Now
with Star
Indiana
Wars.
Jones, let's just kill him off in that. See how that shit plays out.
Yeah, true, true. No, but they couldn't do that. They had to pussy out and be like, "Oh, he's just gonna reunite with Marion again."
and Shia LaBeouf's dead.
Yes, and Shia
Listen,
LaBeouf's
you
dead.
bring out Indiana Jones in modern day, I'd be like, hey, my brother, you can't pull that whip out. Yeah. What you got going on, brother? What you got going on, brother?
There's a reason why they had that shit taking place in the what was it the 60s was when the most recent one taken. They cannot have Indiana Jones in modern day. It would not work.
No, it would not work.
Hold on, what's going on?
Not
But,
at all.
like,
Meanwhile, that
know.
movie's got an Oscar nomination for original score because the Oscars love
course.
John Williams too much. But yeah, man, Mark Ruffalo, man, he is just like he has just become like the best Marvel PR person ever. From accidentally spoiling movie details in movies to not knowing what movies he's in. He's kind of turning into Gwyneth Paltrow in that sense, where Gwyneth Paltrow half the time would show up and shoot scenes for Marvel movies and then just leave because it would be like one scene and then she wouldn't even know what movie it was because she was like in Spider-Man, she was in Infinity War, she was in Endgame. She's like, I don't even know what movies. She's like, I don't even know what movie I'm in right now. But
that's really bad. Like if you're a paid actor, like big bucks, and you don't even know what movie you film in. Come on, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, the plot for Brave New World seemed to revolve around. Again, there's still a political conflict going on around what's it called? Around the Tiamat Island as well. Valentina, which is Madame Hydra, Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, will be in that. And like I said, it revolves around Sam. I believe will be no longer combating the Serpent Society, or I think they're replacing the villains because of how badly it test screened. And I believe that it is going to be revolved heavily around assembling new Avengers. Letitia Wright's Shuri will be playing, from what I heard, a big part in that as the new Black Panther. And the rumors that they're also going to bring in Ant-Man, Shang-Chi, and I forgot who else, and possibly Captain Marvel for the new members of the official team of Avengers, because we really haven't had an official team of Avengers in about 5 years now, which is kind of crazy when you think about that. Yeah, and then as well, tying into Blade, the fact that they've officially confirmed that Midnight Suns is happening, so you can assume that will also include some of the supernatural figures besides Blade, Moon Knight, Doctor Strange. They are planning on bringing back Wanda and giving her own movie as well, the Werewolf by Night character. If they bring back Ghost Rider, I would assume that he would be a part of this team. Man-Thing as well. Also, I believe that there were certain iterations of Midnight Suns that involved the Punisher as well, but I don't think that will actually happen.
So my question with making a Midnight Suns movie, like, if we're all nerds, we can all agree with this. Like, we know all the characters. We all know who's in the Midnight Suns. But if you take someone who hasn't seen the Disney Plus shows or not into comic book culture,
how are you going to get them to go see this?
Yeah, exactly. They'd be like, their first thing like, what the hell are these people? Like, what's a Midnight Sun? Like, people, did you know there's a video game for Midnight Sun?
I did not.
Yes, it's I think it's a turn-based game.
Turn-based action card turn-based game.
Yeah, it's like you're not gonna get the casual people to go see Midnight Suns. Like, you just slap Marvel on it, people will still see it, but like still, like, I don't think it's gonna be like, man.
I think what they are also thinking, and I think in terms of business, they need some smaller movies because they can be continuing making movies that cost 200-300 million. So I think that's the thing. Like they know
that was the point to do the TV shows, not to cut you off, but I think that was the point of doing the TV shows when they realized that like it's not the pandemic anymore and people are not going to just sit down and watch a TV show.
Yeah, exactly. So what I think they need to translate that to is to create, like, for example, like Madam Web was shit, but it cost 80 million. So the thing is, if you can make a $80 million movie that has the Marvel logo and has like a little bit of attraction, they can make 300-400 million out of it, and it's going to be profitable. Right. And I think that's
they get free advertising with memes of Sydney Sweeney and fucking skimpy black outfits. Like free advertising.
For example, a Blade. If you do a Blade movie with 80 million, you like the first Blade. I don't know how much it cost.
It was like 80 million. It was around that.
Like so, and you can make a movie like that, and you can bring a lot of people in. It was the same thing with Deadpool. The first Deadpool wasn't that expensive. So if you can make like these smaller action movies, and I think Midnight Suns is a bit that, like, you can bring more of a smaller scale thing. And I think that's what Marvel wants to do also with Spider-Man, because if you keep making always this bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, it gets to a point that like every fucking movie is going to cost 300-400 million. And they know that they can't keep doing that. They can.
Spider-Man has so much content to do street level stuff, and I think that's low-key what they wanted to do with Spider-Man, like Marvel-wise, is to keep him street level, then bring him up to like spaceship. Because like, how is that we almost have 4 movies and we have not fucking seen Sandman yet? Spider-Man versus Sinister Six. I feel so bad. I love the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies. And
Mhm.
I grew up Tom Holland. I grew up Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, and I really think that we were about to get something great with Andrew Garfield Spider-Man as going against the Sinister Six. And I was like, "Yo, you have all this time now. Give Tom Holland a Sinister Six fight, dude." Like,
I mean, well, didn't they already? Wasn't that the point of No Way Home?
No Way
Yeah.
Home is just fan service.
it's just fan service, but like, give him a real Sinister Six fight. Like, you have all these street level fucking villains, dude. Like, and
Well,
Spider-Man.
Yeah, but that's the problem. But
Yeah.
Marvel can't do that because it doesn't belong to them. It belongs to Sony, and
Sony,
Sony doesn't want to spend that on one movie if they can make a Morbius movie, a Venom movie, this movie, and this movie. And this is the thing. They thought they were gonna make, like, when they did Venom, no one was expecting the amount of money that
They
it did.
treated that as a joke, and then it blew up.
600,000 opening weekend. Like,
Yeah.
And
That's
and
crazy.
that was the thing. Like, no one, even with all the bad press, and I think that was the thing. They thought, oh, it doesn't matter what critics say, this is gonna work. They make a lot of money. So imagine if they could replicate that with Craven and all this, it would be a money machine for Sony. The problem is, and this is why I keep saying, it's not about, I don't think even it's about the character. I think any character can make a good movie if you put someone behind the camera that loves the fucking character and understands the character. And that is the thing. They're not picking up, like I said, you pick up shit people that never
Did
read the
you-
comic books, that don't
did
know
you guys
life.
see
You
this
literally- yeah, the-
interview?
Oh yeah, the video montage of like all of the creators
The
involved in
writers,
all
they're
the
like-
recent Marvel shows,
they
all
were
saying
like,
that they were
"Yo,
told to not read the comics,
not read source material."
That's the
I was like,
problem.
which is
And it's
like-
Yeah,
like,
that's the
insane to
problem.
me. How are you going to work on shows and IP that's based on comic books and not read the comic books? Like,
well, I'll use an example of this. Oh, before, by the way, the original Blade movie, its budget was $45 million, and it went on to make $131.2 million.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
but
it's insane.
I'll use an example of like if you're the dude. So, Bumblebee, I like Bumblebee. I think it's one of the better Transformers movie.
Yeah.
Travis Knight grew up watching the original movies and the show, and he went up to Paramount and he said, "Hey, how about we just use the regular Gen 1 designs?" They go, "Wait,
Yeah.
what?" And then that opening scene of Cybertron, that was from a movie
best
where
sequence of that whole movie, by the way.
you compare someone like Bay, who was just like, I want to make this.
You literally called these movies stupid kid movies, and then just
Yeah.
made them disaster movies.
But
I
then-
still love those movies, but I can't back off with all honesty.
You have Travis Knight who did Bumblebee, and it felt like a legit love letter to the original '80s one, and even to an extension with Rise of the Beast. And,
Yeah, which
you know,
Stephen
people-
Cable Jr. talked about being a big fan of G1 as well.
Yeah, even like Rise of the Beast not being like exactly Beast Wars what we wanted, it still was respectful to the sort of like we got Gen 1 Optimus, so like that's good. But then when you have Marvel, like, yeah, don't read the comics. Like, why would I read? I think if I'm Drew Goddard read the comics for Need a Daredevil,
And
so
it
I'm like,
shows.
Yeah, but the thing is, then, like, for example, Bumblebee made no fucking money, and the Bay movies make money. So this is our problem.
That as far as that goes, Bay had already established himself as like kind of the driving force behind those movies. Like, the unfortunate thing about that is that Transformers, the brand, it kind of becomes synonymous with Bay's brand. So any deviation of that, it was going to take time to rebuild that up.
Yeah, but what I mean with this is also, like, the problem is the people that go to the cinema and buy tickets. Most of them never read the comic books, and I think this is the problem, that sometimes Marvel thinks, look, we don't need them to read the comic books because most of the people that will see it won't, and maybe they'll just create something just for geeks and whatever. But the problem is, my problem is not even like reading the books to make it exactly the same, but is at least to understand what makes these characters tick. I don't care if they change the outfit. I don't care if they change, like, even like the race of the character. I don't have a problem with that. But the problem is when they change the reason that character exists. When, for example, people were talking about Magneto and let's make Magneto like black. The problem is, like, then you have to change all the backstory because he was like a Jew being prosecuted. So that's the thing. I don't care if they change that, but then they have to, like, the reasons he's doing that still need to be there. Like, he needs to have the backstory that kind of makes those characters. And this is what most, like, of these people don't understand when they're making these movies. They don't understand, like Madam Web with that shit of, like, with great responsibility. What was it like?
Oh God, I heard that line and I was like,
Yeah,
"You
they
gotta
changed
be
the line
fucking
around,
kidding
like,
me!"
with great when you get responsibility.
It's like, oh
you
man,
get
when you got,
great
when you
power.
get oh no, they did a spin on the line. They did
Yes,
a
They
spin
did-
on the
they
line.
Just switched words like
Yes.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
switch words, and that just shows that like they don't understand what
I
this
heard that
character
shit
is.
and I was like, yeah, I am never seeing this fucking movie. Absolutely not.
Exactly. So this is the thing. Like it's the same with Fantastic Four. If they forget that they're supposed to be a family, and that's the whole point of that fucking like book is like they are a family, and if they forget that, then they make it like whatever like the last Fantastic Four was.
Right. And then
it's not
Incredibles
gonna work.
and then Incredibles still remains the best Fantastic Four movie.
hey man, if you're doing Magneto's black, Magneto was a slave.
I mean,
Yeah, but that's
Honestly,
what I mean.
yeah.
No, but that's what I mean. But
Yeah,
then
like
but then you can't put it in like Magneto being in 2000. That
Yeah.
is the thing. Like when you change these things, you have to make logic. Like
Mhm.
even Magneto today, it doesn't make a lot of logic that he
right.
was.
If he was
like,
a kid
during
during the
Second World War.
Holocaust, he would be like over 100 years old right now.
Exactly. But this is what they
But
don't
the
like.
mutant gene.
Nacho, you know what's
It works.
crazy? Yeah, not to make light of this, but I'm just thinking of the scene, the opening scene from the first X-Men, and then from First Class with the black and white thing. But he's just black and he's just standing out, and he's the only one there, completely inexplicably so. Because knowing Marvel today and Disney today, they would do some dumb shit like that.
Yeah.
They
Like,
absolutely would.
I
You
get
cast
with
Magneto as black guy, got to be Denzel.
honestly,
Who
yeah.
else? Who else could it
But
be?
I get where Yolo's coming from because it's like I feel like with any character, like looking at like I'll even say like Spider-Man, like when Miles Morales got introduced as Spider-Man, people were like complaining about it. It's like, oh, why you gotta do this and that and everything. But like they kind of kept the same
Right.
thing that made Peter Parker work, and
Right,
but they made it unique. So I feel like with any character you can do that, just make it unique. But the problem I think what Marvel does is that they just take the characters and be like, we're just gonna rewrite it to just have them be, oh, their defining trait is that they're different from the original source material. Like they I don't know if you guys felt this too, but they felt like that they were doing that with Ironheart when it was the Black Panther 2. I was like, because there's like, oh, I have a suit that's like Iron Man, but I'm like Iron Man but better. I'm like,
and then that bull. I'm like, you call that bullshit a suit? That looks like a fucking ladybug helmet. Like, what the hell?
Well, no,
is
we're
that?
talking about like when the comic came out for Ironheart, like
yeah.
there was so much controversy because like literally it was being posed as like she's Iron Man, but like but like without taking the story of Tony Stark, which is still controversial, but it just it gave Ironheart no chance to like come out and like be good at all.
Yeah, and then Miss Marvel, I know, is also a character that's been criticized like since she was like first created, because the whole basis for a character. But like, I don't know, Miss Marvel I thought was kind of harmless because it's like she's just an Avengers fanboy. It's just the character, the actress that they got playing her for the show is just
she's an Inhuman.
I love
like,
Miss
that
Marvel.
whole thing
I don't care what you guys.
I
say.
liked her. Yeah, she was.
I think Marvel. I think she's the perfect cast for that.
She was the best part in the second Marvels movie because I kind of liked her energy. Like she kind of like she's like us. She's the fan.
Yeah,
she's the fan of MCU, just playing in the role. And like even like in the Avengers game, I liked her character and everything. Like I think she can work.
I will say, at an hour and a half, the movie went by fast, and we got Kelsey Grammer back as Beast. That's about what I could say for it, guys. Like I said, we're almost done. There's just one more thing that I wanted to run by you. Like I said, which was the fact of they have been really trying to promote Armor Wars, like really, really trying to heavily promote it. And I can't think of a more pointless movie that Marvel could be doing right now. Like I understand the whole reasoning as far as all the other movies in the content that they're doing, but like Armor Wars, I'm like, I get it. First of all, they've had a gaping Iron Man problem since they killed off Downey, right? Or since they removed Downey from the MCU. They're like, okay, like who are we gonna be? Like, who is gonna be the new Iron Man? Is it gonna be Spider-Man? Is it gonna be Ironheart? Is it gonna be War Machine? Like, who is it? So they've had a gaping Iron Man problem since they killed off Tony Stark. And so I feel like Armor Wars, which was originally supposed to be a show and has now been reformatted as a movie, is this thing of where they're setting up Rhodey basically as the new Iron Man officially. Finally fucking doing the full circle thing to Terrence Howard, which all the way back, which again, missed the golden opportunity to bring him
next
back.
time, baby.
His name is Iron Man.
Iron Man. No, I like with Armor Wars, like just
It's
knowing.
too late.
Yeah, just knowing
it's another Black Widow. It's way too late.
Knowing it was a TV show first and now it's a movie, I'm just thinking like that's just a disaster waiting to happen because like that just doesn't like a story like that, I feel like would work better for a TV show. But if you're gonna stretch this out to like a 90-minute movie or like a 2-hour movie, like what are we gonna talk? Like what are you gonna do? Like
Right,
who's he gonna
exactly.
fight?
And unlike
I still think he has potential, especially now that Sam Rockwell will be back.
right,
And I
that's the
think
biggest
he-
thing is that they,
yeah,
after they
and
brought
I
him
think
back
he
for
was
what ifs,
completely unused.
yeah.
And the other thing is Ultron. What I still think he was really badly there's still a lot of potential there to use Ultron. So if it's a way to bring Ultron back and make it, and maybe even make him like, because
Which would
in
be cool
Secret
because
Wars,
Ultron's like the
is
Freddy
like
Krueger of
in
the MCU almost, basically, where he's like you can never really kill him because he's an AI. Like that's what's so cool, and that's how like when they
yeah.
got rid of him at the end of Age of Ultron, and just how fucking awesome Spader was. That part, Ultron's still like top 5 MCU villains for me. I fucking like most
can always
underrated villain of
rewatch
the MCU.
Avengers 2. I can always rewatch that movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think if they bring Ultron and then they can use Ultron on like Secret Wars, because like in the comic
Yeah,
books
plays a big part.
right.
he also has like an interesting role. So if you can bring him there, and I think like, look, in the end of the day, like I said, whoever doesn't want to watch this movie, just don't
Mhm.
fucking watch it. There's a lot of
Yeah, but
people.
that's the problem. It's
I'm
the
gonna
end.
watch it. I'm
That's
gonna
the
watch
problem.
it.
It's the MCU and superheroes. The MCU specifically still has a foothold over people. Now, the good thing is that people are finally, especially after last year, when, like I said, with the exception of 2 movies, every single superhero movie bombed and underperformed. The good thing is that people are finally starting to become sick of superhero movies in general, and just how many of them that we get and how many of them are usually mediocre and underwhelming. And so
Well-
people are finally starting to respond to that.
That
But-
makes me.
I don't know. I
that
don't
makes-
think that is the thing. Like, look,
It-
if you look at the top 20 most watched movies of last year, most of them are there. What I keep saying is, look, we keep expecting these movies to make $1 billion, and they're not
It's
going to make
not.
it because there's
Mm.
fucking Netflix, there's fucking everything. People are not going to the cinema. People don't even have money to pay rent. They're not going to pay fucking like cinema money. That is the thing. Like, we need to kind of look at like the box office of last year, see how many movies passed the billion, and it was very specific movies that was a one-off. But like they were still all there. Like we still had Guardians of the Galaxy there. We still had like even Ant-Man is on the top 20 of the movies that made more money. So like we just can't expect these movies to make $1 billion every time. So that's why they need to kind of lower the price tag on these movies, because they're still, I don't think people are fed up. Like I went to the cinema the other day to watch what I can't even remember, but it was just me and my daughter on it. Like when we compared like most movies to superhero movies, that's still the ones that fill up the rooms. The other ones are like, I went to watch Poor Things, and it was me and my daughter. It's a fucking Oscar nominated movie with like, and people still don't go and see it because they'll think, oh, I'll watch it when it comes out on Netflix or whatever. So this is the thing. Cinema will need to change. The ticket prices need to change. All that needs to change, because I don't think people are fed up of superhero movies. They still go and see them, and they still go and see these like stupid movies that we all like. Kong and Godzilla looks fucking ridiculous. We'll get
Exactly.
people.
I'm
to see
watching
it.
it.
Can't
I
wait.
can't wait for
I'm
that.
watching that opening weekend. I watched that opening weekend. I'm seeing
Yes.
Kong with his Infinity Gauntlet
You
beat the
see-
shit out of Scar King. This shit's gonna
Yes, and
Big
this is
monkey
what I
versus
mean.
giant lizard.
Yes.
Those are the movies that still
Yeah.
get people to think, well, if I'm going to spend money, I'm going to spend on something that
Mhm.
at home is not going to give the same experience. But
Mhm.
still, it's going to be less people. It's not going to make $1 billion. It's not going to make like Godzilla, probably like make 400, 500. Even like the last Transformers, it was a hit. And it still made what, 400, 500 million. So
It didn't make any money at all. It barely made its budget.
I don't think it broke even. Yeah.
No, yeah, but like no, like I agree with Yolo, because like then another thing that adds to that is like there was a couple good superhero movies last year. Like, you know, I loved Guardians. I thought Blue Beetle was severely underrated.
I
love
did like Blue Beetle. And
Like-
Guardians did perform well. Guardians performed at like 800 million. So Guardians 3 did come through.
Looking at
Guardians did well.
Yes, that did very well.
Looking at the box office last year, the $2 billion movies were Barbie and Super Mario Brothers, while Oppenheimer
Yeah,
was
and
number 3.
Oppenheimer's like right
and
there
like-
too.
There's 3 superhero movies, or there's 2 superhero movies in the top 10. It's Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and Guardians of the Galaxy
It's
3.
Guardians of the
But like,
Galaxy, yeah.
you know, the Flash and everything. But like, you know, it is mostly like you have to really think about like we have to temper these expectations because we gotta realize like I know people are like, yeah, Deadpool 3 is gonna save the MCU. I'm like, I mean, could it? Like, I don't know if it will. I think it'll be fun because we haven't had Deadpool in like years in theaters, but like, you know, I'm still gonna watch it, but like, is that gonna be like, I don't know if it's gonna save the MCU, but I think it's gonna be a good because I think with the Marvel,
it doesn't need saving. We
yeah,
keep
no,
talking like the MCU needs saving. Like Jesus Christ, look the amount of money that they still make, and it's like, yeah, they had a couple of ones that didn't. Even Ant-Man, how much Ant-Man did? 400 and something million. Again, the problem is in the price tag. This is what, like, I think there's a huge problem in Hollywood. Someone is stealing. First of all, I do not believe that these movies cost what they say they cost.
Oh no, but
Because
we all know that there's plenty of
Mhm.
that there's
yeah,
plenty of
because if
embezzlement
you
that
go
goes on
and
in
see
Hollywood on a daily
Godzilla,
basis.
if you go and see Godzilla -1, how did they do that movie with the amount of money that's supposedly
And they even
like
said that they had less money than what was listed.
so how do they make that movie and then like a Godzilla movie gets made in America and all of a sudden it costs 6 times the same? Like the creator cost 80 million. If you saw that movie, how did that movie cost 80 million? Like, and then you have a movie that looks way worse and they say, oh, it cost 200. So first of
Yeah.
all, I don't think they cost the amount of money they put that because then they can say less profits, they can pay less to the creators, whatever. So I think that the problem is in the price tags of these movies. As soon as you see these movies, like it's crazy. The new Ghostbusters, it's 180 million. Like the amount of money that you have to make that movie profitable, there's no point. Just like, so I think they need to do like smaller stories or something like that
Well,
because it's not gonna.
thing with that too is like even an example like Godzilla -1. That movie is like fucking awesome, and apparently
Yeah.
reportedly that budget is small. And even the director said, "I'm not going to tell you guys what the real budget is, but what it's projected at is that movie had a budget ranging between $10 to $15 million, and that
Yes,
made like
exactly.
$100
$100
million
million.
dollars. And it like just taking that small budget like that, it's like, you know, it'd be like just or don't even say what the budget was. Just make the movie and just be like, oh, maybe hey, this cost this much, or like, you know, films like that had a small, like obviously -1, that was a very tiny budget, but like they were able to make something great with it. You can do that. You don't have to put all this money into the movie to be like, you know, make this epic.
That's the thing. You need to be clever in how you use the budget because, like, for example, I think Jaws is the best example for that because they didn't have enough budget. They had to almost never show the shark, and that makes the movie way better. So I think that is the thing. The problem with all these fucking superhero movies is it's like the Fast and the Furious. Like they are always, every movie that comes out, they need to top the last one. So this is why we have cars in space now. Because how the hell are you gonna top the last one?
At this point, Fast and Furious is just a precursor to Power Rangers Turbo.
Literally.
Shipped in the turbo. Like, yo, I'm just waiting for Dom to pull out a fucking morpher at this point.
No, it's
Please
like,
let that.
it was Jurassic Park. They were talking about doing a thing with.
Oh
Jurassic
my
Park.
god! I have
I'm
a
so mad we didn't
canon.
get that. I'm so mad we didn't get that.
Transformers and Fast and Furious to cross over, and they have to team up to take down Megatron. And then Dom's like, "We know what it's like to have a family, Optimus. We don't worry. The first rule of the streets always run." It just, I want that
First
crossover.
is
And then
G.I.
Jazz
Joe.
was like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
First is gonna be G.I. Joe with
First, it's got to be G.I.
Transformers.
Joe with Transformers.
I mean,
Yeah,
They already
They got
announced.
Velociraptors racing with the moon base, lasers on their back. Just get it all up, Kung Fury up in
but
here.
the thing is, though, we got that like very long time ago with the G1 series, like
Yeah.
G.I. Joe, and so that's just like a childhood coming true, like live action.
So remember, what if there's a timeline where we had the crossover with the Bayverse Transformers films and the Channing Tatum G.I. Joe
Oh
movie?
god, I'm pretty sure that almost happened. I'm
I
pretty
like the
sure
first-
that almost happened.
I feel like
I like-
that could have happened.
That
They
easily could
did.
have happened.
It could have.
Yeah.
I like the second one better than the first G.I.
I
Joe movie.
don't hate the first one. I actually remember having a lot of fun with that. The second
The
one, I remember
second
being
one
kind of all
was-
over the place.
It's The Rock. The Rock just makes everything terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it really does. It really
You're
does.
right.
Hey, come on.
Outside of wrestling, The Rock makes
Oh, no,
everything terrible.
Oh no,
Pain
he's
and
doing the same
Gain?
thing. No,
Pain
he's
and Gain?
well. You know, if the real story isn't like it, I feel like if you don't know the real story of Pain and Gain, it's funny. But when you read it, you're like, yeah, no, I shouldn't be laughing at this. This is actually fucking terrible. Like I remember when I was a kid,
the movie was fun.
Yeah, the movie was fun.
It's funny, yeah,
but
but
the thing
it's
that I
like,
think everybody missed about that movie is that, like, yeah, the movie is like kind of like Goodfellas. It's making fun of how dumb these guys are that they thought they would actually get away with it. You know, and it's like it's excessive as all of his movies are, but I think it's excessive done with purpose.
Jumanji wasn't bad too. The Rock is not.
I like Jumanji. Oh no,
I'm not a fan of those movies.
I was never really a big fan of Jumanji, so I didn't really care.
But Baywatch, what's Skyscraper, Rampage.
I watched.
Do we need to keep going?
I watched
Jungle Cruise.
I watched Baywatch 2 days ago with my daughter.
Oh God! Had she seen it before?
Yeah, she saw it before, and we were watching it. And I'm gonna tell you, like, it's the most stupid movie.
We were still laughing.
We were still laughing. I don't know if we were laughing at it or with it, but it is still like so stupid. Like Zac Efron and him, they really have good chemistry, and we were having fun. So, like, and that's what the movie is supposed to be.
Yeah,
so,
I did hear that the movie did get like a little unfair. Like people were very, very harsh on it when it came out. It was
funny because they pointed out the fact of being like, "Yo, why are we doing this? Like, we're just lifeguards. Like, we should just call the cops." Like, that's funny.
That is the thing. My daughter was watching and she was saying, and she was saying this really has the vibes of 21 Jump Street, the movies, and it does. It keeps the whole movie making fun. Like there's a part that they say, "Oh, this sounds like a really weird TV show that with stories that make no sense," and that is the thing. It's just like, oh, but I don't know. Like we watched that just after we watched Iron Claw. So
wow, nice little Zac Efron back-to-back double feature.
I would have watched Bad Grandpa instead.
Oh,
that movie, God.
No, you can watch About My Father out on DVD and digital now.
Yeah.
No, I feel like with Baywatch, people were expecting way too much from like the original Baywatch series. So they were just expecting that. So a lot of people were harsh on that movie for no reason, but I laughed my ass off and I was like, this is too funny.
I didn't end up watching it, but in hindsight, I'm sad that I saw Pirates of the Caribbean 5 over that movie.
No!
That movie was dog shit.
Don't worry, we're getting
actual dog shit.
So you can never
They're not doing that. They're not making that movie.
Oh no, it's real. It's real.
Yeah, totally real.
They will make it. Look. In the end of the day, it's what I said. They know that if they put something like that out, they're gonna make money, and that's the thing. And this is what I tell people. Like, if you the owner of like Pirates of the Caribbean IP, you're not gonna like say, oh, like let's just leave it in a draw because we don't have any good idea to. No, people like it. Money talks, and they're gonna make it for sure. And Johnny Depp is gonna be back on it. So you can.
Well, they're gonna make it with Johnny Depp. I'm saying they're not gonna make the all-female Pirates of the Caribbean because they need Johnny Depp back in some capacity. Well, guys, as much as I would love to stay up all night talking movies with you guys, because again, this just shows like I need to put this team together more often for really just anything comic book related, and then just to talk about movies because this is a lot of fun. This was a lot of fun, but unfortunately, we got to get going, and it's getting late. But with that being said, guys,
it's 7:30. What are you talking about?
Shut up! It's 11 o'clock here. Shut up.
10 to 4 in the morning in my side.
Exactly. We're coming at it from all different time zones right now. So with that being said, like I said, that was all the most recent Marvel updates, and I was probably roasting Madam Web for a little bit. Be sure to stay tuned to the social media feeds for the clips.
Go and watch Madam Web. Tell people like just for that last scene that we see those amazing glasses on Madam Web.
She got the Bret Hart. She had the Bret Hart glasses.
That looked like someone forgot that they needed the glasses and they made it on set. They just cut something out. It was like ridiculous.
Hey man, I would have.
They probably CG'd them on.
I probably would have went okay with the headband. Just
yeah, right.
Listen, the accurate Madam Web is still the '90s cartoon with Stan Lee's wife voicing her. That late,
Yes, absolutely. So with that being said, Mac, thank you for once again coming on. Where can the good people follow you on the interwebs?
You can follow me on my YouTube at Mac Movie Reviews, or listen to our podcast at the MK Productions Podcast, wherever you're listening podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast. And yeah, if I'm getting lonely on PlayStation, so you can add me on my username too.
All right, sounds good. Yon Yolo, thank you once again for coming on, and once again,
No problem.
again giving us your battered comic book knowledge, and for suffering through Madam Web in order to come on and podcast with us. Where can the good people follow you on the interwebs?
Yeah, so you can follow us on Instagram, on YOLO Movies blog, and also on YOLO.com. And you can see my reviews with my daughter there, and just follow our pain into some of these movies like Madam Web.
Exactly, as we continue to trudge our way through the hellscape that is let 2024 starting into. And Dontre Tarantino, where can the good people follow you on the interwebs?
All right, so boom. If you want to have a good time, follow me on Twitch at theblackiogaming.com. And if you listen to good house music, follow me at Official Wig Mafia on Instagram. House Music Now Volume 1 is out right now.
Yes, sir. Some fire tracks on there as well, for sure. And with that being said, of course, you can follow me at Movie Nerd Reviews, at Official Talkin TV Podcast across all platforms. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitch. This episode will be available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts tomorrow. And as always, people, 12 seasons in a short film, and watch more fucking movies. We'll see you guys next week for Avatar: Last Airbender live action.